This is part C of the KhoodeelaarTVChannel television channel, Baby Angel Geronimo essay. This one is continuing the draft contents of the Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto for Animals. And we are doing this. This is coincidentally, this is happening at a time when the scandal of the United Kingdom government, the scandal of the United Kingdom government allowing the industrial scale of harassment, prosecution, conviction, and destruction of the careers and lives of hundreds of post office, sub-post office managers in the United Kingdom. Now, today's Sunday Times on the front page has got three main items. One is the first one, the promotion for Ukraine's Zelensky, saying that help us now for the sake of all of our futures. And the second one, which is the main one, in terms of the size of the text on the headline, Venel's given CBE despite horizon fears. We shall come back to that in a minute. And the last one is the war criminal, Tony Blair, has been given another 200 million donation by the American Larry Ellison. Now, this is really absolutely shocking. The war criminal is being described as the advisor to governments around the world. Now, who is he accountable to? And who is advising him? Who is his masters and mistresses? Now, back to the Horizon scandal and the CBE, the honor given to Venels, despite the fact that there were fears about the Horizon system. It says that Honors Committee under Theresa May government ignored warnings and pushed through award. This is written by Oliver Shah, Harry York, and Sean Linton. Theresa May's government pushed through a CBE for Paula Venels, the disgraced former post office boss, despite concerns raised on the Honors Committee about the Horizon IT scandal. Sir Ian Cheshire, who are now the chairman of Channel 4 television, led the subcommittee that recommended Venels for the most prestigious honor apart from a knighthood or a damehood. Sources said she was nominated by the business department, although Greg Clark, who was then business secretary, was not involved. Venel's name was discussed by the main honors committee, chaired by Sir Jonathan Stevens, then the civil servant responsible for Northern Ireland. In October 2018, at the time, a group action brought by 555 sub-postmasters persecuted by the post office, was about to reach the High Court. Mr. Justice Fraser would the following year issue a damning indictment of the post office's conduct, finding that the Horizon system had been defective despite strenuous denials by the company and Benels over many years. At least one member of the main honors committee questioned the wisdom of making Benels a CBE, alluding to the growing noise about the mainstream, about the mistreatment of the sub postmasters, and pointing out that she was still in her post office role. Cheshire brushed aside these concerns, and Stevens did not take them up, according to a source with knowledge of the exchange. Another side, the responsibility for flagging concerns to committee members lay with the sponsoring department. A source close to Cheshire denied he brushed aside concerns and said that both committees were reassured by civil servants about Venel's fitness to receive the honor. Venels was named CBE in the 2019 New Year honor list. In February that year, she announced that she was stepping down as chief executive of the post office and was appointed a non-executive director at the cabinet office. Cheshire was the main non-executive director there at the time, as well as the government's main business advisor. A source suggested Venels, a part-time priest who had an unremarkable business career until she ran the post office from 2012 to 2019, was being rewarded by the government for taking a tough approach to controlling costs, including by refusing to acknowledge wrongdoing in its pursuit of sub postmasters. Now, this is a piece on the front page of the Sunday Times today, 14th of January 2024. Now, this is a list, another list, let's say, an updated list, let's say, of the wrongdoing, intentional wrongdoing, intentional criminality, intentional corruption by the UK government. There is no other way to put it. So the Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto for Animals will take into account all these propensities on the part of government departments and government ministers and ensure that no decision is made about the safety, about the welfare, about the rights of an animal by a government department or a government civil service, because these are civil servants, ministers, and others who are completely implicated. And Benels was being rewarded. Although she is described as a part-time priest, she is being rewarded for harassing, tough approach meaning harassing innocent postmasters and mistresses. Innocent postmasters and mistresses. Just like the Baby Angel Geronimo has been harassed. The innocent Baby Angel Geronimo has been harassed by the DEFRA criminals, knowing full well that Baby Angel Geronimo was innocent, that Baby Angel Geronimo had no infection, and that Baby Angel Geronimo's mom, human mom, Helen MacDonald, was being harassed for standing up for Baby Angel Geronimo and his innocence. So the manifesto will take into account the provisions for the final decisions about the suitability or the fitness of any animals to truly, verifiably independent decision makers, observers, auditors, and not left with the government departments. We shall be talking about this continuously, of course. And going back to the issue of the relationship between the war criminal Tony Blair and the American billionaire Larry Ellison, it says the Larry Ellison Foundation, a philanthropic organization funded by the founder of Oracle, the computer software company, has in recent years become the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Sorry, read that again. Larry Ellison Foundation, a philanthropic organization funded by the founder of Oracle, the computer software company, has in recent years become the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change's key financial supporter. The Sunday Times' style is really complicated and ridiculous. I mean, what a stupidly complicated and misleading, false sentence. Now, if it is called TBI, we can translate that as Tuberculosis Institute. The Tuberculosis Institute acts as a tuberculosis policy advisor to governments around the world. Now, this has no authority, no moral authority whatsoever to advise governments around the world. It's like the secret behind the most secret operation, like the state operations like the CIA, the Mossad, and the Indian Research and Analysis Wing, RAW. I mean, who are these people accountable to? None, no one. Figures recently published by the Tuberculosis Institute in the US show it has set aside $272 million or 213 million pounds for the Tuberculosis Institute in the coming years. The institute has previously received just over $100 million from Ellison. It said it would use the money over 5 years to support its work, helping governments with reform and change programs. Now, what on earth are these reform and change programs? What governments does the Tuberculosis Institute refer to? Does it refer to Netanyahu carrying out the genocide of the Palestinians? Does it refer to other fascist organizations and in the form of states suppressing democratic, ethical, and moral opposition within their territories? There is no explanation of that. The Tony Blair is the war criminal because of his complicity with George W. Bush in the massacre of Iraqis and Afghanistan people from 2001 onwards. And the invention of the lie that Saddam Hussein in Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which it didn't. There is a piece in the Sunday Times on page 2 about Joe Biden threatening Iran with attack. And there is a piece of a two-page spread, almost two-page spread, the post office scandal, as a woman, one of the supposed mistresses, harassed by the post office, stands as a election candidate for election to House of Commons, election to Parliament in the seat against Ed Davey. Now, Ed Davey is the leader of the Lib Dems, but Ed Davey is a criminal who would not hesitate to launch a nuclear attack, as he notoriously exhibited when he appeared on Channel 4 News against Joe Swinson, whom he defeated. And the news item, the news program, was presented by Kathy Newman, who asked them, would they, both of them, would they press the nuclear button? And both of them said simultaneously they would. There was no question of nuclear war being dangerous to humanity or safety of the planet. So he's a complete, absolutely insane, warmongering criminal. So for him to deny that he said that he had no role in harassing the postmistress and postmasters. But that's a lie. So here is a belated piece by Ken MacDonald, who was a director of public prosecutions, supinely opining that the post office lied and saying that big organizations should not bring prosecutions. He said large organizations have financial interests and claims on loyalty and obeisance that should not bring cases in our criminal courts because prosecutors must be objective, disinterested, and open to self doubt. The post office lied to defendants because the post office had skin in the game, and Horizon was too big to fall. Horizon survival was more important than securing fair trials for innocent people. Private corporate prosecutions were in an accident waiting to happen. They should be taken to the casualty ward and swiftly dispatched. The Criminal Cases Commission, which has the responsibility for referring possible miscarriage of justice back to the Court of Appeal, has too narrow a remit, only allowing to submit cases it considers the appeal court is likely to overturn. This mind numbing calculation may minimize the number of cases reaching overworked judges, etc., etc. Now, Ken MacDonald is himself a former director of public prosecutions and a liar himself. Mistresses described as visiting professor in defense studies at King's College London and a quote distinguished fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Now this is a hypocritical piece as being run in the Sunday Times, because it actually confesses at the end of the piece, which is headed, "Action was vital in the Red Sea, but there will be Red Sea repercussions." He's saying that much harder to estimate, but probably much greater are the consequences in terms of world order and the freedom of the seas, which is absolutely correct. And there is a drawing going with the piece by Tim Shipman in the Sunday Times, the piece headed "The New Special Relationship," which is subheaded "Rishi Sunak impressed the White House with his swift response to the Houthi crisis." Back home, though, back home in the United Kingdom, that is, he still has a battle on his hands over the Rwanda bill. But the point is that Rishi Sunak is sunk, as we call him. There are 3 or maybe 4 war ministers in action currently. One is the official war minister, Grant Shapps, the official foreign secretary, who is acting as the real war minister on behalf of the Red Sea invasions, attacking the Houthis by the United Kingdom, and Keir Starmer, who is attacking Iran on behalf of Rishi Sunak and the USA. And Sunak himself is operating part-time as the war minister on behalf of Ukraine. So this is a real mess. And Michael Clark's piece is followed in the Sunday Times by David Slamy, Stupid Lamy, saying that he would work, Labour Party in government will work with Donald Trump, exposing David Lamy, exposing his slavish reality. So it's not just Starmer. Islami has joined the war against Iran, and are backing Israel in the attack on the Middle East. There is a piece on page 18 of the Sunday Times News Review, which has headed Drug Claims and Chaos as Musk faces big come down. The tycoon allegedly used cocaine, LSD, and ketamine in front of staff. With the disastrous Twitter takeover and cash flow problems, Musk's house of cards is looking precarious, writes James Ball. And the last paragraph in James Ball's piece is Musk's alleged predilection for drugs might not be a huge deal in itself, but it is a reminder of this extraordinary tycoon's humanity and indeed his fragility. He is arguably the single most powerful man in the world, but it's a brittle power, and there is no knowing what might finally make it snap. There is a news review piece about the English writer Thomas Hardy, and the heading is Hardy loved his fictional women. He wrote the real women out of his life. There's a picture of Julie Christie as a young actor with a little lamb in her arm. Julie Christie as Bathsheba Everton in 1967. Thomas Hardy, below left with second wife Florence, was obsessed with the actress Gertrude Bergler left and had her picture in his cottage. Hardy's obsession with Gertrude drove his wife Florence to the edge of a nervous breakdown. From Tess to Bathsheba, Thomas Hardy was known for his strong heroines. So why did both his wives end up living in the attic? In a new book, Paula Byrne reassesses the great novelist's feminist credentials. Now, Julie Christie was born in Assam, wasn't she? That's another story. The Sea Eagle has come back after 240 years. There is a heading in the Sunday Times by the liar Matthew Said. The heading, whoever wrote the heading, almost tells the truth in a kind of reverse way. Our rotten honor system doesn't deserve Alan Bates, but we have said already that Alan Bates should not be given any honors at all. If honors are to be given, then the honors should be given to all the victims of the post office and Horizon and of Fujitsu. The Biden and Rishi Sunak are shown in a cartoon where the Iranian, is it Hezbollah, supposed to be Hezbollah, supported by Putin, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 dog barking at them, and the words, "How dare you?" That sums up the actual scenario more accurately than any of the texts. pieces about the Horizon scandal. We say that these are all, most of them hypocritical, and most of them are dishonestly written, because it appears now that the unreliability of the Horizon computer system was known as far back as 25 years ago. For 25 years, the British media, the British government, the British Parliament have colluded, aided and abetted the harassment of the victims of the Horizon computer system. The latest batch, of course, have been the postmasters and mistresses. There have been other targets. Now, the Camilla Long piece, remember, Camilla Long is the woman who actually is a specialist in body language, especially including her breasts, which she doesn't hesitate to offer to anyone who dares to express an opinion that is in disagreement with her. And she is, of course, talking about the lawyers who are the main beneficiaries of the inquiry. So we shall be talking all about the Horizon scandal and the government dysfunction and fitness for purpose and the irrelevance of the lawyers in assessing the ethics and morality, let alone asserting the ethics and morality. And the Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto for Animals will be continued. This is ending at 19:33 hours GMT on Sunday, the 14th of January 2024.